Hey, what's ready? Welcome back to News Toast, and yeah, I'd say it's a pretty busy weekend. We had the Xbox showcase yesterday. I give it a B+ in case you missed that video. In my opinion, it was the best showcase of the three, but they were still missing that final knockout punch, if you will. However, they've already started to tease the future, both immediate and also the far out. So we're going to talk about that today, as well as the Switch 2, because it seems like it's blowing everything out of the water right now. Before we get started, though, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do, and you will receive this video through early access. Let's go get right into things, though, starting off with Nintendo's newest console and two of their newest first-party games, Mario Kart World and Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Reviews are currently rolling out, and on the positive side of things, Mario Kart World has an 88 overall score with a total of 36 reviews as of this recording. Now, I imagine a lot more will come in here in the next few days, so, don't view this as the final score or anything like that. But so far, it's just a tad lower than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which received a 92. Honestly, though, I don't really think those 4 points makes all that much of a difference in terms of quality. Both of these are great games, and I can say that firsthand. I've been playing it all weekend long, and just from my own perspective, I don't think that it necessarily reinvents the wheel, as some people were maybe expecting with its open world mode, but it still refreshes the Mario Kart formula in other ways that still makes it feel like its own thing. It has some new mechanics, and now that it has 24 players, it honestly feels like madness, especially in its multiplayer. Every game really feels like it's a war zone, but it's still a lot of fun. I've been playing its knockout mode, and truly, I've been having an absolute blast. Now, is it worth $80? I'll leave that one up to you, but the quality is definitely there. If you like Mario Kart, then there's a very good chance that you're going to like Mario Kart World. It's a very, very good experience. Unfortunately, though, we can't say the same thing about Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which is really no surprise whatsoever. It's currently one of the lowest rated Nintendo developed games ever made, with a defining 50 overall score on Metacritic. And I think this one is well-deserved. This easily should have been a pack-in game, no question about that, but Nintendo decided to be a little greedy here, and, with that, I can't imagine very many people are going to buy this. It's just not worth it. Come on, Nintendo. Do better. Now, one of the biggest announcements from last week was 007 First Light, developed by IOI, but so far, we really haven't gotten much to go by in terms of its gameplay. We know that it's set in third person. That's a big difference compared to what we used to get from the 007 games, but its reveal more so introduced us to its characters with a mostly cinematic trailer with only small glimpses of its gameplay. Well, thanks to IOI's 007 franchise director, we now have some more information. He claims that it'll be more of a spy thriller than a flat-out action shooter because, in his words, they want to give gadgets and tools to the player to make you feel as smart as James Bond. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be shooting sections. In fact, it was mentioned that the gameplay will be varied. You're going to have weapons, you're going to have gadgets, and, of course, you're also going to have vehicles, because without these things, it really wouldn't feel like a 007 experience. So, I think the way that it's being described is actually very good news for fans of this franchise. We still need to see it in action, but it truly sounds like an authentic 007 experience, and I'd say that is incredibly exciting to hear. Oh, and there was one absence this weekend that bothered a lot of people online. For whatever reason, Hollow Knight Silksong still doesn't have an official release date. Now, it did appear at the Xbox showcase as a part of the Xbox ROG Ally reveal, but that's not really what fans wanted from a Silksong announcement. They want a date, or at least a release window, and, well, if anything, we kind of got that today. Team Cherry's head of PR confirmed that it will be out before the holiday. So, you can kind of interpret that in different ways. Typically, I view the holiday period as October, November, and December, but he didn't really say holidays as in plural. Rather, he said holiday as in singular, so, really, that could just be the December month for all we know. So, I do want a little bit more detail before I peg it into a smaller window. But if anything else, this is yet more confirmation that it will be out before the end of the year. I know there's still some concern out there that it'll be delayed yet again, but so far, that doesn't seem to be the case. It is planned for 2025. All right, now let's go and move on to Xbox and their future. As a part of their showcase, they teased both the immediate future and also some of their far-out plans as well. So let's just go and first talk about their more immediate future. I understand that some people were disappointed by the lack of updates for some of their bigger games that we already know about, but right at the end, Phil Spencer confirmed 4 games for 2026, which coincidentally is their 25th anniversary. And that's actually very important to keep in mind here because it sounds like they want to celebrate their 25th anniversary by going back to their 4 main pillar franchises. They confirmed that their next year lineup will include Gears of War E-Day, the next Forza, which I presume is Forza Horizon 6, then Fable, and also a quote-unquote classic that's been with them since the beginning. Now, this is only speculation, but there's really only a few games that fits that criteria. So yeah, there's a decent chance here that he's referring to Halo. Now, there has been a rumor for a while that a Halo 1 remake is currently in development, so maybe that's the game he's referring to, which, hey, that would be very fitting for their 25th anniversary. I think that'd be a great way to celebrate. In fact, if all 4 of these games actually releases next year as is planned, then they really couldn't have planned their anniversary any better than this, because I can't think of a better way for longtime Xbox fans to celebrate than by going back to the 4 most historic Xbox franchises that really made fans fall in love with this brand in the first place. This really is the perfect setup for them, and 2026 already sounds extremely exciting for Xbox fans, especially for those that's been around since way back during the very beginning. The other thing that they teased, though, was done a little bit more quietly. Now, we've known for a while that their next generation console might be linked to Windows in a big way. We keep hearing about this through various leaks, that it will be a console PC hybrid. And I told you all this about a month or so back. The first glimpse for that future will be sold through the Xbox ROG Ally. This is their prototype for the future. They're going to implement some of those next generation ideas that we keep hearing about into this console. That way they can kind of iron out the kinks and really nail their Xbox OS down for their own future first-party consoles. And seemingly, that's exactly what's happening here. There's already some hands-on reviews up on YouTube. I'd recommend Russ from Retro Game Core. Big shout out to him. He does a fantastic job. But from what I've gathered, the Xbox ROG Ally will boot directly into the full-screen Xbox experience. So it's going to give you that typical console-like feel, but just as important here is that it seems to be loaded onto a more gamers-focused version of Windows. Essentially, when you're running the Xbox app, which again, that's what you're going to boot into, well, then anything that's not gaming-related will be deactivated, which theoretically means that your games should perform better. And that's a very big thing because Windows as is really is not optimized for these devices. And I think that there is their main priority as we head into next generation. They're trying to optimize Windows for these console PC hybrid devices. That way their next Xbox can launch with this Windows Lite version, if you prefer to say. And as long as they can improve that experience with the Xbox ROG Ally, then they'll have their operating system of the future that truly integrates and truly connects Xbox and PC together. I mean, I think this is also why they're so focused on Xbox Play Anywhere right now. If you notice, that was a big focus at their Xbox showcase. They want to make sure that Xbox gamers can bring their library over to their next console, which will technically be sold as a console, but at the end of the day, it's still a PC in disguise. But that there also brings its own advantages, like being able to sideload Steam as one such example. So yeah, the Xbox ROG Ally is our first true glimpse at Xbox's next generation plans. But before you go and buy one, After the showcase, they put out this statement, which reads, "The Xbox full screen experience will come first to Ally and Ally X, and we will update the in-market ROG Ally and Ally X. Similar full screen Xbox experiences will be rolling out to other Windows handhelds beginning next year." So technically, if you already have one of these Windows handhelds, you can still try a similar experience with an update next year. Now, one last thing before we go. Sounds like the Switch 2 has gotten off to an incredibly fast start. In fact, allegedly, it shattered the 24-hour record for the fastest selling console ever made. Previously, it was the PlayStation 4, which sold just over 1 million units, but according to Nintendo Prime, well, let's just read what he said. "I have now heard from 3 independent people that Nintendo have globally shifted over 3 million Switch 2 units. This doesn't include any additional sales made today already and over the upcoming weekend. For perspective, no console has come close to that level of sales in 24 hours. Now, keep in mind that this hasn't been fully confirmed, but if this is true, I mean, this is pretty incredible stuff. I mean, one thing that I've noticed is that I haven't really seen a ton of complaints about not being able to get a Switch 2. It does kind of seem like it's been a smoother launch than what we got from the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. And this here might be the reason why. Nintendo may have flooded the market in a much bigger way. I mean, truthfully, Sony should have probably done the same thing, but hey, you know, that's one of the perks of going third. Nintendo was able to witness and plan ahead of time. So, there you go. Nintendo is seemingly on the fast path for another big-time generation. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode, but until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.